Welcome to Uncaged. Today we're speaking with Donnica Hawes-Saunders. Donnica has an amazing business where she deals with complex challenges. She is the founder and CEO of the Aity Group, which is a consulting service that helps organizations in highly regulated industries transform their reputation at the intersection of social impact, communications, and public policy. Anyone who has ever worked with highly regulated industries knows how challenging that can be, how complex can be. And I'm excited to hear about Donnica's business. But before we get there, Donnica, tell us a little bit about you and your career.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a lawyer by trade, but quickly found out that that is not the route that I wanted to go. And so I was trying to think, where do kind of recovering lawyers go? And the overarching response was Washington, D.C. So that's actually how I ended up in D.C. and started a career on Capitol Hill and spent several years there in committees, leadership offices, personal offices, until I was recruited into multinational organizations from the corporate side. And so that was my introduction into the corporate side of the highly regulated industries perspective. And I chose organizations that some might argue really have some severe reputational challenges: alcohol, tobacco. And so once I gained that experience, I was like, oh, this is something that could really help other companies and other organizations and even other industries as they're trying to navigate some of this. Some of what I learned in the multinationals I take with me. Some I created on my own to see if it would be effective, and it was. And I was like, okay, there are other strategies out here that can really help move these organizations forward.
How interesting. I love the explanation of where lawyers go when they don't want to be lawyers anymore. That's a classic. But now you're working and you've created the Aity Group. Tell me more about the story behind the Aity Group.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was working in a multinational, and like I said, I was just working for one company, but I was seeing all the opportunities around me in other industries and companies, and I saw ways, quite frankly, that I could help. And so I took the leap and started my own business and have been rocking and rolling ever since. One of the main questions I get is, Donnica, what is a highly regulated industry? And so glad that you asked. But some of the most
Donnica, what is a highly regulated industry?
Yeah, so the top highly regulated industries in the U.S. right now are finance, transportation, manufacturing, and insurance. So as you're kind of thinking about what is her client base, those are the most highly regulated in the U.S. right now. But we have clients that are in AI, generative AI, healthcare, pharmaceuticals. And then I talked a little bit about my background, but certainly companies in cannabis, tobacco, gambling, alcohol, they have their own unique challenges as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one that when you define the space, just looking at a category like the financial sector, there's so many regulations, so much that companies need to do to remain compliant, and to manage and go through those processes is really tricky. Obviously, in other categories, you mentioned things like cannabis, things like even as you just mentioned on the technology side, AI are going to become more and more regulated. So, I mean, you're talking to tons and tons of leaders then facing a wide variety of challenges. Right now, here we are at the end of 2023. What's top of mind for these folks?
Top of mind for these folks is what's coming next. Everything from a political perspective, a civil society, social perspective is really dynamic right now, particularly in the US as we're going into an election year. It's always a particularly tricky time. And so I see a lot of focus on how can we best anticipate change and prepare for it. One of my main pieces of advice to clients is, please come and have the conversation with me before a crisis occurs. And so we can really help kind of set a strategy and mitigate, if not eliminate, what we know are going to be challenges, because we know that challenges are coming. Sometimes they're already there, but let's really try to lay a good foundation, and that really can help jumpstart some of the overarching goals that we look to achieve.
So it's a great question. I wanted to kind of follow up, and usually I steer clear of the political landscape because it's always so divisive in America right now. But clearly, your world touches on the political landscape, and I guess my question really is, to make change happen and regulations, that takes years, right? Policy decisions, et cetera. It's not an overnight thing. How does like the current situation in Congress, et cetera, impact kind of the process of that type of thing?
From an industry perspective, I think it's challenging. For me, it's something I enjoy because I
Hmm.
not only, in case you can't tell, kind of seek out challenge, but also I
Hmm.
love to kind of shake up some of the institutions that have been doing business the way it's always been done. One of my big things is if you want the same results, keep doing the same things. But if you want something different, switch it up. And so that's what I love to do. That's what my team loves to do. And so the fact that there's a lot of change, a lot of switching it up at the moment is something that I
Yeah.
find really exciting. And it also taps into the creativity. Okay, so what worked 5 years ago probably won't work today. What other strategies can we put in place? Can we test? Can we try? Can we pilot to really make sure that business goals are achieved?
I'm going to change gears a little bit on you, Donica, because I find it really interesting what you do. And you're clearly in a space where there's just tremendous amounts of change constantly. And you've built this company, the Aity Group. What drives your passion for what you do?
People. People look at my background and they're like, you've done so many different things. What does being a lawyer have to do with working on Capitol Hill? What does that have to do with going into corporate? And my overarching response is it's true. I've done a lot of different, really interesting things, but at the center of it has always been my desire to help people, whether it's from a legal perspective, whether it was from a public policy perspective, or now from a corporate perspective. The more I help companies and organizations in highly regulated industries, the more I can assist them in really delivering what it is they want for their consumers and ultimately also the communities that they operate in.
Here's a tricky question, and it's something that we wrestle with sometimes in my businesses. With someone that works with such a wide variety of customers, there will be customers that perhaps will come down the path that you might say, "Whoa, I don't know if I support you in what you believe in or what you do." Where do you draw the line in terms of maybe some businesses that you might even have an issue with, and how can you offer them support, or do you offer them support?
It comes down to the conversations that I have with the CEOs or the leadership. I'm less concerned about where companies are versus where it is they intend to go and how they intend to get there.
Mm,
Um, from a personal perspective, I had to do a lot of soul searching when I left the Hill. Do I truly want to work for an alcohol company? Then after that, do I truly want to work for a tobacco company?
right.
What I saw was opportunity to really have a positive impact on, again, that core of people through the strategies and through the perspectives and through, quite frankly, being in the room.
Right.
Where oftentimes folks that look like me, that have some of the characteristics I have, are not there. And just the
Right.
opportunity to deliver good results for everyone across the board is something I couldn't say no to. So I wouldn't hesitate to reach out to myself or to my company if you're worried about what are they going to think about where we are, because again, our focus is more on, yes, we're going to take a look at where you are, but I really want to know how you might be transforming or what your intention is going to be for the future.
Yeah. So really it goes back to that point you made before. It's about the people and maybe the path that they're on and where things are going. I really like that. Well, Donica, I mean, you're someone who's trying to give companies a better future in many respects in some of these key topics. Here we are coming to the end of this year, and you mentioned it that we're going into an election year in the US. It's going to be lovely, exciting 2024. What's on the horizon in your world?
More change and more challenge. I will not predict the election outcomes. Such a
Yeah,
or I won't box myself in that way. And also, who really knows?
yeah,
Uh,
who knows?
but for sure, one of the trends that I will point out is that just change is constant. And the impact of social media and the amplification of a variety of voices across the spectrum has already had an impact on corporate strategy. And I think we can look into next year and anticipate that that's going to continue to be the case. So we really have to ask ourselves, and I encourage my clients to ask themselves, okay, this is our business strategy. This is what we care about. Look it out. What do our employees care about? But do not forget to go even broader. What are the other conversations happening going into 2024? What is society talking about? How are we playing into that? How are we plugging into it, if we are at all? And how can that really help us in this upcoming year?
Yeah. I mean, well, I think, Donnica, you're going to have a year full of business because there's going to be a lot of challenges and changes for sure. Donnica, if someone wanted to learn more about the Averity Group and what you and the team do, where's the best place to find you?
On our website, www.theavaritygroup.com. Go there. You will see a contact us portion of the website. Feel free to fill in your information, and a member of my team will reach out to connect.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being on the UNCAGED show today. We've been speaking with Donnica Hawes-Saunders. She is the founder and CEO of the Averity Group. And we've been talking a lot about really where organizations are and how to navigate the lovely world of Washington at times, but also just kind of face some of the issues that they might have from a reputation perspective. Donnica, again, thank you so much, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you so much for having me.